Hello everyone, so it's time for another weekly reads and I have finished 3 books this week. But before we get into the books, I just wanted to mention that next Wednesday is the announcement of the winner of the Booker Prize, which is very exciting. I don't know if I will be making a reaction because next week I have some plans that are going to consume most of my time. So I will hope to put something up, but I'm not 100% sure if I will be able to. But if you want other reactions from other people, I will recommend you go to Kieran's channel or Sarah's channel or just any other booktuber, probably Eric Anderson as well. There are a lot of people that are going to make reactions, I'm sure. I will try to put mine up, but yeah, I don't promise anything. But yeah, other than that, let's just talk about the books that I have read this week. So the first book that I finished is Bourne by Jeff Vandemeer, and I read this because my book club was going to discuss it this week. We didn't. The organizer was sick, so we couldn't make it this week. We might make it next week again. I don't know if I will be able to make it next week, but yeah, we will see. But I read the book, and I always heard that Jeff Vandemeer was very weird. I didn't find this book in particular, at least, that weird. It's my first Jeff Vandemeer, and I just find it the normal amount of weird for a like sci-fi dystopian novel. Let's say like John Wyndham, that kind of weird. I don't know if that's, yeah, I didn't find it particularly that impressive in terms of weirdness. The language was really beautiful, and it was a kind of a slow book, which I did not expect. So, sci-fi is normally very action-packed, and this one was a very meditative, character-focused book, which did surprise me, and I appreciated about it. But basically it follows Rachel, which is this girl that lives in this compound with another boy or man, and she finds a creature that she calls Bourne that kind of changes shape, and it's when she finds him, it's like a baby in a lot of or a child, like in a lot of the attitudes that it has, but then it grows into more of an adult and wants his own life and starts doing things that are not as good. And in this world, we also learn that there is this company that did bad things, but we also look at how this company affected personally each of the lives of the people involved and all of the other characters that there are. So yeah, that's more or less the setup of the book. As I said, it's not heavily plot driven. It's more about discovering the character of these people, how Bourne evolves, and the relationship between the different parts and their pasts. And I enjoyed it. I have to say that for a very character-focused book, I did not connect with the characters as much as I wanted to. So even though I think that the writing was beautiful and the choice to focus on the characters was the right one, I, for some reason, did not connect with the characters themselves, which took away from my enjoyment and my willingness to keep reading all the time. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it. I'm open to trying more Jeff Vandemeer. It's not someone that I'm going to go and buy all of his books from, but I enjoyed it enough that I will want to maybe try another book from him. The next book that I finished this week is The Vagina Monologues by Eve Ensler, and this is sort of a theater performative piece. It's kind of some of the parts are written in sort of like a poetry kind of way. Some of them are just text, and it basically it's just a look at how vaginas have been abused, not just women, but vaginas in general, and how much violence against them there are, but also how beautiful they are, how amazing they are, and how powerful they can be. So yeah, and just sort of like there was a section like, what would your vagina say if she could talk, or what does it smell like, or things like that. Like, they do have a personality, and every vagina is different, but at the same time they all have the common element of this powerful this powerful element. And yeah, this was very empowering. It was also very humorous in a way that I think it was well done. It's kind of a classic of feminist literature, I would say. I had seen it performed before, but I had never read the actual book, so I'm glad I did that, because it reminded me of how much I like the play. So yeah, I would recommend, if you haven't read it, especially if you have a vagina, I think this is a very cool book to read. And then the last book I finished was The Devil and the Cross by Ngugi wa Thiongo. Ngugi wa Thiongo is one of my favorite authors, and I just wanted to read something more from him. And The Devil on the Cross is about this woman that goes to Nairobi from the village, and well, she has been kind of abused when she was, not abused, but when she was a teenager and she was in high school, she got pregnant by a rich old man in the town, and then everyone kind of rejects her and assumes that her sexuality is the only thing that she has to offer, and she has this dream to study engineering, and she's a very smart girl, and yeah, you see her fighting for what she wants in the society that is very corrupt and very not favorable to her. And I mean, I think that this is a very powerful message for girls and women in Kenya, at least as far as I know. I have sometimes visited high schools in the rural areas, and several of the girls there were pregnant or had babies already. So I think it's a fairly common thing that happens, that it's not necessarily always rape. Sometimes it's rape, sometimes it's grooming, but yeah, there is no so much education on sexual reproduction, sexual rights in countries like Kenya, and I think that this book does highlight that a little bit. Also that this woman does make a way in her life to achieve the things that she wants to achieve. She's a very strong woman, and she's able to pursue her dreams despite everyone not considering her at first just because she's a woman, which I really appreciated. Also, there is a lot of satire related to the capitalist system and how that affects the way that she is treated as well, and how colonialism and capitalism are very connected. And there is this talk about the devil as an entity, as a person, or as someone that you can see and talk to, and that is organizing events and things like that. And the devil is basically a metaphor for the capitalists and the colonialist powers that allow this corruption within the society, and that allow for things to happen to this woman and other people around her as well. So yeah, there is a lot of layers on this book. It's not a very long one, but there are so many layers on how the patriarchy and the colonialists and the capitalist system are all connected, and they are this devil that poison society. to make lives of normal people a lot harder, and it's not just these abstract concepts that are like political or are out of our life and we shouldn't think about them, because they do affect our day-to-day life. So yeah, I think that Ngugi Thiongo is brilliant, and this book was brilliant in exploring those topics. Also, if you are planning to read this, I would recommend that you go find the Penguin Black Classic edition, because it has an introduction and a prologue. One of them is by Chinua Achebe, and it was amazing. And the introduction also explains a lot about the context of the novel, because this novel was the first one that Ngugi wa Thiongo wrote originally in Gikuyu and then translated to English, and I think Swahili as well, because of the reclaiming of the African identity. And that's something that I have read from him in Decolonizing the Mind, but it's also something that it's explained on the introduction of the book and how he came about into that decision. So that in itself is valuable as well. So yeah, those are the 3 books that I have read this week. What I'm actually reading right now, the first one that I'm reading is Ancestor Stones by Aminatta Forna, which actually is my pick for November for Invisible Cities for Sierra Leone. I have read Aminatta Forna before. I've read Happiness, and that one I just thought it was okay. But that one was set in London, and this one is a lot more set in Sierra Leone, as far as I understand. It's about a woman that goes back to Sierra Leone looking for her roots. And yeah, I mean, I'm only 30 pages in so far, but I'm liking it so far, and I guess I will report back when I finish this. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I started it a little bit early in terms of Invisible Cities, but I mean, it's the last day of the month, so. And then the other one that I'm reading, it's in ebook, and it's Heart of the Race: Black Women's Lives in Britain, by Suzanne, Scafe, Stella, Dadzie, and Beverley, Bryan. And this one I got from Verso last summer. They were doing this thing in which they had like a free ebook every week or something, so I got the ebook from there. So yeah, I'm reading the ebook of this, and this is a book from the 80s that explores the intersection of Black women and feminism and the Black movement in Britain specifically, which is really interesting. I have, again, only read about 30 pages or so, but it already talks about how, as far as they know, because it's 85, I think, when they published this, there was a lot of Black men and white women fighting for this cause, but they were trying to guess and understand what Black women were going through without actually knowing for sure. And there was Black women talking about this, but it was mostly in America, so this is kind of an attempt to reclaim that identity for British women as well, and Caribbean women. So yeah, as I said, I'm only about 30 pages into this, so I don't have a lot to say about it yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. I probably will read it slowly because it's quite heavy, but it's also very information packed and very interesting. And yeah, it's good to have an ebook on the go, because sometimes if I don't manage to sleep very well at night, I can always pull it up and read a bit without waking up my husband, so that's always good. And yeah, those are the things I'm reading. I don't have any set plans to read anything specific next month, so I'm just going to go with the flow. I think I need that at the moment, and we will see how much I read, and we will see what I read. I have a few non-fiction books that I would like to read that are on my TBR, and maybe I will pick some of those up because it's non-fiction November. But yeah, I'm not going to put any pressure of any kind on myself the next month. I'm just going to read whatever I want. So yeah, those are my plans. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy my thoughts on the books I've read. Let me know if you have read any of them and if you like them or not. And until next video, bye!